Trish here with Divine Journey Yoga. If you enjoy my videos, I would love it if you could press like and subscribe and share them with your friends. Also, I would love to get some comments and feedback. That helps a lot. This level of this practice is from the 9th chapter of Dr. Lauren Fishman's book, Yoga for Osteoporosis. This level is for osteoporosis itself. For those of us who have that diagnosis, these poses should feel really safe. We're going to hold them a little bit longer, enjoy them a little bit more. So let's get started by lying back. Maybe 2 or 3 more slow, deep breaths. Moving fingers, wiggle the nose, step the feet back on the floor if they're not there already, and rock knees side to side. We're moving toward our core twist. Pulling the knees in toward the chest, rocking a little bit side to side. Planting the hands just a little bit off the edges of the mat again for our core twist. Feel free to just keep rocking side to side here, maybe for 5 or 6 breaths. We're going to be holding most of our poses for about 20 to 30 seconds. For me, that's about 6 breaths. But if you'd like, you can also rock the knees over to one side and take half of that time on one side and then on the other, just breathing, holding, noticing the work that's going on in your core. You can let the legs come closer to the floor or stay a little higher, and then find the other side. Use the arms to help support you as a solid base. That is really great, getting those shoulders involved, a little bit of work in the muscles of the upper back. And back to center. Rock a couple times to just even yourself out, floating the feet to the floor. Reach for the block as we move into supported bridge. Slide the block up under those hips, just lift them a little bit and settle down into a good solid spot on the block, bending the elbows, adding that robot arm dynamic, letting the shoulder blades tuck toward each other, but pushing the backs of the arms into the floor, that about 25% engagement. You could just press into the arms and use the upper body, or you could add a little bit of strength around the core, squeezing the glutes, lifting the hips slightly off the block. And we can hold here as we breathe. Hello, cat. Let's just take one more deep breath. Settling back down onto the block, wiggle the fingers and rock the knees as you slide the block out and set it off to one side. We are going to practice our seated forward fold with a strap on our backs. So we're staying on our backs for this next pose. Wrapping the strap around one foot, stretching that leg up in the air, lengthening out the strap. You can have the foot straight up or on more of a diagonal. Starting to engage with those straps like we did when we were sitting, stretching and pressing and breathing. The other knee can stay bent or the leg could stretch out down the end of the mat. Just look around and smile and take one more breath. Rebending the long leg that's on the floor. Start to bend the strap knee up and down a few times, and then just switch legs, taking the foot off the floor and sliding it into the strap and bringing the other foot down. Settling into this side, I like to wrap the strap right around the ball of the foot. That's the safest spot. Pressing into the strap, pulling back, but again, only about 25 or 30%. Maybe the other leg stretches out as we breathe and hold and build our bones. take another breath. Start to rebend the leg on the floor, bend the strap knee, slide the strap off, feet to the ground, rocking, transitioning over onto your side. And then over onto your belly. Just have some fun rolling around on your mat. Stretching the legs out nice and long, walking the elbows right up under your shoulders. Some people like to have the hands straight out from their elbows, and I like to have my hands touching, even linking the fingers together. Breathing and allowing that low back to compress as the front of the body opens and the legs reach out down the mat. Not a lot of engagement here, just mostly relaxing into the back bend. And your elbows might need to be wider or more forward, depending on your low back today. Let's just take a few breaths here. You can let your head drop, stretching the neck a little as you finish the pose. Start to walk the elbows in toward the body and the knees start to slide in toward the hips. As we lift those hips up, we're down in an elbow down table pose for a cat-cow or a hip swing. Eventually table, hands on the floor, cat-cow. I'm going to turn around to my chair and use it to help me stand up. Place the hands on the seat of the chair, walk those knees in, bring one foot to the floor, step up, and I might flatten the back foot and stretch here for just a quick bonus pose. Stretching those legs one more time. Nice flat back, lifting the entire torso up, nice and tall as we walk over to the wall. Now you can do your down dog at your chair like you did before, nice flat back, or you can take your hands about shoulder height to the wall and then start to straighten the arms out as you step the hips back, legs again nice and long, a little tiny bend in the knees, dropping the shoulders and stretching into down dog at the wall. This is our osteoporosis level down dog pose. You can always swing the hips just a little, side to side. Bring the head up, slide the shoulders up, step in. As you release those arms, you can make some circles or shake them out. Let's move to triangle pose, stepping the feet wider apart, turning the toes up under the chair. We're definitely using a chair for this level. Other foot can have the outside edge parallel to that short end of the mat, or maybe even the heel kick back a little. I'm going to bend my knee so it comes right up to the chair, and then now I can reach the chair. I'm going to put my hand on the seat of the chair, the other hand to my hip. And as I start to straighten the bent knee, I might come up onto my fingertips, and this might be my pose. Or I might be able to go a little lower, plant the hand back down, open the other arm up. Just choosing what works best for you. And in this variation of triangle, I can actually feel the stretch on the inside of the leg here because I'm not working so hard in this girdle core area, but it's still getting the job done, still building the bones of the pelvis and the back of the body. Let's just take 2 more breaths here. The hand comes down as we bend the knee and push our way back up, toes forward. Let's step together, and you can turn around or you can swing your chair to the other end of your mat. Also remember, if you already know your poses, you don't have to use a chair. You can also use a table, a bed, or a block. Turn those toes up under the chair, the other foot parallel to the end of the mat. Bend into the knee and plant the hand. Open the heart, open those shoulders, hand to the hip. And then begin to straighten the knee, and you might need to lift those shoulders up. And I like to kind of roll here, getting my hip bones and leg bones all right where they need to go, kind of compacted into the pelvis. That's how we're building those bones. And then the other arm can be added as we breathe. And in this position, sometimes I like to move my neck depending on its health. I can look up or roll the eyes and look down. Just love your breath. Love your body here. As the top hand comes down, the knee rebends, and we push ourselves out of triangle pose. Stepping the feet back together again, swinging the legs a little. We're moving toward tree pose. I'm going to use my chair and step one foot up onto the chair. The other foot, I want the toes going out in front of me. The foot on the chair, the toes are pointing the back of the chair. Good. Hand to the hip or up in the air or out nice and wide. Breathing, engaging again, drawing the muscles to the bones, lifting through the crown of the head. Just enjoying this shape, enjoying the stability that our support can give us. And feel free to close your eyes, which is not what we can usually do when we're in a standing tree pose. Kind of take advantage of that. Arms float down, step that foot back down. You can swing the hips as you change the chair to the other side, or you can simply turn around. Step the other foot up, knee wide, steady, stack those bones, heel, ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, add the arms, and breathe. Arms coming down, knee forward and step off the chair, swing the hips. Let's do our twist at the chair. I'm going to step up with the leg that's closer to you guys so I can see you when I'm twisting. I'm just going to take the opposite hand over to that thigh and the other hand slides to the hip. Lifting up, I'm pushing down in that standing leg, but I'm not locking the knee joint. Always need to keep that joint open. Breathing. You can feel this little bit of stress right through the hip, the other side, the waist. One more breath here. Turn forward, step that foot down. You can simply step the other foot up, or you can swing the chair to the other end of the mat. Stepping up, I'm going to have my hands on my hips, cross the opposite hand over to the thigh. Keep this hand on the hip as I lift those shoulders, leveling them out, open the heart, and breathe. Remember not to lock that standing leg. You can rearrange the feet to make sure the knee isn't getting twisted. We want the kneecap going toward the chair. And you might even gently squeeze the top of those thighs for one more breath. Turn forward and step down. Move into chair pose. You can swing the hips a few times to even out that twist. Sinking into chair pose. You can leave your hands on your thighs and breathe here. You could even put your hands on a chair. You can take your arms out wide or up to the height of the shoulders. Just enjoy the strengthening in your bones, in those big thigh bones and the knees, down into the shins, up the sides of the back of the body. Such a good strengthening pose for one more breath. Rising up. We'll take our back bend. This is where wheel goes in the sequence, but we're going to do it standing up. Feet about hips width apart, hands on the hips. Squeeze the shoulder blades and elbows together as you walk your eyes up the wall to where it meets the ceiling, and take about 3 deep breaths here. Relaxing, coming out of this pose. Our final shape in our 12 poses before we get to Shavasana is one that was earlier in the list. I put it down here at the end because we're still using our chair. It is half butterfly. So scoot to the edge of the chair. Stretch one leg out wide, heel on the floor, toe up. The other foot goes to the toes floor, open the knee, and breathe. Now we can add some energy here by hooking onto the back of the chair or grabbing the seat of the chair and leaning forward. That that's where you feel the work. Rising up, I'm going to bring my long leg in so the soles of the feet tap, and then stretch the other leg out. I'm still holding on to my chair, so I'm just going to lean forward, and this time I might drop my eyes to one spot ahead of me and gaze there steadily for 2 deep breaths. Release that holding and leaning. Bend those knees, rock a little. And I'm going to use my chair for Shavasana, so I'm going to stand up for a moment, position it at the end of my mat, and then mindfully come down to the floor. Stepping forward, knees deeply bent, back always nice and flat. I'm going to sit next to my chair so that I can flip my legs up and rest them on the seat of the chair. Walking back, nice flat back, to relax. Thank goodness for Shavasana, the most important pose of all. Feel free to move into this pose, just breathing in through the nose, out the mouth a few times. And then allowing the body to soften. With every exhale, getting a little deeper and heavier on the floor. Take a moment to notice where you're feeling sensation in the body. Maybe there are areas that feel tired or warm or anything else you think of. Imagine that you can breathe toward that area. For example, my low back is tired. I'm going to imagine I can send my inhale down into my low back. As I exhale, that low back is going to soften and get deeper into the mat. Just do that a few times. Let's take one more deep breath. Pull it in through the nose, open your mouth and let it go. Wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes. Smile a little bit as you gently rock those knees, massage that low back. Transitioning over onto your side and up to seated to close our practice. Hands together at the heart. May these poses and this practice do our bones good. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me.